So at 6 a.m. every morning, I had to get on a city bus and ride for an hour, sometimes more, just to get to school. And I was willing to do that because I was willing to do whatever it took for me to go to college. I set my sights high. I decided I was going to Princeton, but I quickly realized that for me, a kid like me, getting into Princeton wasn't just going to happen on its own. See, I went to a great school, but at my school we had so many kids, so few guidance counselors, they were dealing with hundreds of students. So they didn't always have much time to help me personally get my applications together. Plus, I knew I couldn't afford to go on a bunch of college visits. I couldn't hire a personal tutor. I couldn't enroll in SAT prep classes. We didn't have the money. And then, get this. Some of my teachers straight up told me that I was setting my sights too high. They told me I was never going to get into a school like Princeton. And I still hear that doubt ringing in my head. So it was clear to me that nobody was going to take my hand and lead me to where I needed to go. Instead, it was going to be up to me to reach my goal. I would have to chart my own course. See, I learned respect from how my parents cared for my great aunt and uncle. How my mother would wake up in the middle of the night to check on my great aunt. How my father would prop himself up against the bathroom sink each morning, leaning hard on his crutches to give my great uncle a shave. I learned integrity from my parents. That living a good life is not about being wealthy or powerful. It's about being honest and doing what you say you're gonna do. It's about how you act when no one is watching, and whether you're the same person on the outside as you are on the inside. And when I arrived at Princeton, the whole college experience was a mystery to me. I was sleeping in a room with strangers, and as I looked around at all the other students who had come from wealthy families and were third and fourth generation Princetonians, I didn't always feel like I fit in. I was a little lonely at times, and so what I understood was that I needed to build a community of my own, right? So I worked hard to make new friends in my classes and at the campus cultural center. I reached out to professors and administrators around campus, and soon enough, I had built a wonderful group of friends and supporters that became my family away from home. And I relied on that family probably as heavily as you rely on your family. Stopping by folks' rooms when I was bored, calling up folks when I needed to vent, leaning on them when I was anxious or down or just plain tired. And what I know now is that I would not have made it through that college period without that group of people by my side. My parents worked hard to pay the bills and to keep a roof over our heads. But even though my parents couldn't give us material things, they gave us something much more precious. They gave me and my brother strong values. They taught us to treat others with dignity and respect. They taught us to push for excellence in every single thing we did. They taught us to be humble and to be grateful for everything we had. They taught us to put every last bit of effort into our education and to take pride in our work. They taught us that our circumstances didn't define us, and that if we believed in ourselves, if we made the most of every single opportunity, we could build our own destinies and accomplish anything we put our minds to. And I'll be honest, I didn't find my passion until long after college. Heck, until after law school. I mean, the truth is I still spent way too much of my time at Princeton continuing to chase grades and check boxes and climb higher and higher. I went on to law school, I did the same thing. And by the time I was in my mid-20s, I had everything I was told I should want. fancy job at a prestigious law firm, a big office, a nice paycheck. But on the inside, something was missing. And so, after a few knocks, I finally asked myself some big questions, simple questions. What did I want out of my life? What makes me happy? What do I care about? Yeah, simple questions that I had never bothered to ask, too busy checking boxes. And soon I realized that what I really wanted was pretty simple. I wanted to give back to the people around me, to the world around me. I wanted to live my life by the principle that to whom much is given, much is expected. So, for me, that led me to quit that fancy job. And since then, I've dedicated my life to giving back. I've worked to train young people for careers in public service. I've started community outreach programs at a college and a hospital. And today, as First Lady, I'm working to honor our nation's military families and help our children grow up healthy. But as I look back, I wish I'd asked myself what I really wanted when I was sitting right where you are. So graduates, my message to all of you today is this: do not waste a minute living someone else's dream. Each of us has unique gifts. But it takes a lot of work, a lot of real work to discover what brings you joy. It just doesn't happen. It requires you spending some time, and you won't find what you love simply by checking boxes or padding your GPA. You won't figure it out only by listening to your guidance counselor, your friends, or even your parents. You can only find your passion by looking inside yourself. If I was going to protect them, I had to, number one, protect myself and protect my time. So I knew going into this role that I didn't want to waste any time, that any time I spent away from my kids, and I actually took this on even before I became First Lady. Even as a lawyer, as a vice president at a hospital, one of the things I realized is that if you do not take control over your time and your life, other people will gobble it up. If you don't prioritize yourself, you constantly start falling lower and lower on your list. Your kids fall lower and lower on your list.
So by the time you got here, you knew how to do that?
I knew how to do that.
Read, write, read. If the president were here, one of his greatest strengths is reading. That's one of the reasons why he's a good communicator, why he's such a good writer. He's a voracious reader. So we're trying to get our girls, no matter what, to love reading and to challenge themselves with what they read, not just read the gossip books, but to push themselves beyond and do things that maybe they wouldn't do. So I would encourage you all to read, just keep reading. And writing is another skill. It's practice. The more you write, the better you get. Drafts. Our kids are learning. The first draft means nothing. You're going to do 7, 10 drafts. That's writing. It's not failure. It's not the teacher not liking you because it's all marked up in red. When you get to be a good writer, you mark your own stuff in red, and you rewrite, and you rewrite, and you rewrite. That's what writing is. And if you come out with those skills, and then you're confident, and you can articulate, and you can stand up straight and look anybody in the eye and say, this is who I am, it's a pleasure to meet you. That's one of the things we try to do with our mentoring program with young girls. My message to them is if you can walk into the White House and meet the First Lady and say, my name is, how are you, and look me in the eye, then there's nothing you can't do. That's why it's important. If you guys walked here, are sitting here in front of all these people, standing tall, asking questions, using your voice, you have to practice that. These arenas just show up again and again, and then you just get used to it. The nerves go away, and you start relaxing into your own abilities. But it's practice.